Hello traders, this is another StrayDog weekly video recorded on July the 14th. And in this video, like in previous videos, I will cover the bigger picture on the US indices, S&P, Nasdaq, Russell, and on the German DAX. Now, S&P and Nasdaq going higher with the bearish divergence, that was the theme from the last week also. A new earnings cycle is going to begin soon. From the Monday we already have some serious companies reporting earnings, and the question for European traders is DAX lost correlation with the S&P, and I will deal with this issue in this video. So from Monday we are going to have some important news, and the most important news comes on Monday and on Tuesday. On Monday we will have Chinese GDP and industrial production year on year and other Chinese news also, and on Tuesday we will have Fed Chair Powell speaking at the G7 presidency in Paris, and for European traders we will have German ZU economic sentiment. Also we will have every day some of the FOMC members speaking, and as said before, earnings session begins with the US banking sector. On Monday we will have Citigroup, and then following JP Morgan Chase, Wells Fargo, Goldman Sachs. On Tuesday also Johnson & Johnson. On Wednesday Bank of America. On Friday American Express, and we will also have some of the market movers like Microsoft on Thursday in the after hours, and on Wednesday in the after hours we'll have Netflix. And also earnings cycle begins in Germany, and the biggest DAX component is the SAP software company, which will publish earnings on Thursday. So let's go to the charts now. S&P daily chart, this is the CFD chart, but the same you will get on the futures chart. Again, the line that everybody has on their charts, the only real resistance that we have above the 3000 level is this. It comes around 3020, 3030, and reaction, if we get one on this line, that will be the tell of the futures movement. So as we can see here, after this first push to the upside, and when market went above this previous all-time high, first we got a small pullback right to the previous high, then again break, pullback to the previous high. So market is going steadily to the upside, but it is doing so with the bearish divergence and the typical summer market where we have lower volatility, lower volume, and of course lower daily ranges. Nasdaq pretty much looking the same. Again, the same movement to the upside, and we can observe that even better on a smaller time frames. They're just making range, and on top of that range, there we go, yeah, with another range similar on Nasdaq, range and range. This is cash index, looking of course exactly the same. Nasdaq above this first line, which is this one on the S&P, and S&P, where S&P has this resistance which is pretty close, on Nasdaq it is not close at all, it is rather far away. And again we have the situation with the Russell as the lagging index, and Russell has been lagging for many months now. The index that was perceived as a risk proxy, as an index and futures to trade with, where you can get a bigger bang for a buck, but you can't really have anything now because they're stuck here in the range below 1600 and lagging for a lot of time. About those divergences, we can clearly observe those kind of divergences. Let's start from the 240-minute chart. Clearly there is a bearish divergence on the S&P and on the Nasdaq, and also if we are going to observe those same divergences, they are visible on daily chart, and some of them even on the weekly charts. For example, here is the bearish divergence on the Nasdaq, on the RSI, on daily chart, and similar thing we got on a weekly chart on the S&P between these two tops. So that is just one piece of a puzzle, and we know that strong markets can go higher with the bearish divergence for a long period, especially if you will observe those kind of bearish divergences on 240-minute or even smaller time frames than that. So what comes next for the US market will be determined here. So we here could get a reaction, so pretty much the absolute same scenario like on previous week. We could get a reaction here and then a rollover to retest this area here, and then we shall see what is going to happen, or market could go just right through it. So at the end of the month we will have the FOMC statement, and the question is how much is already calculated of the rate cut hopes into this price, because earnings cycle is beginning, and market participants and investors are going to watch that. Nothing is new on the US China trade war plan, absolutely no positive or negative new informations, and we shall see about the rate cut. Now let's take a look at DAX. So this is the DAX daily chart, and it looks now that DAX at least temporarily lost its correlation with the S&P, because DAX now have several daily candles in a row to the downside, and the S&P of course doesn't have them. And if we are going to look on this same chart to go and switch DAX on it to look for the correlation between these two indices, we can observe this period here, which was last year in the fall, where for several months DAX was going lower while the S&P was going higher. So DAX has the good correlation with the S&P, but there are some periods that those periods can be smaller periods, just a few weeks, or it could be like this for several months. DAX is also a lagging index, and while the S&P is pushing to new all-time highs, DAX is still here 1,300 points below its own all-time high. And now the question is, what we had so far, these candles are pretty small, meaning that this was controlled selling, not like this here, what we had on December and on September, October last year. Pretty controlled selling, and the DAX is still inside this support area, but it is now really a question, is it here is going to consolidate and then goes down more, or is it going to consolidate here and goes up to this next area of resistance, because this here could very well be a false break above the 12,460 level, and in that case, in the case of consolidation and rolling over, we could see lower prices again on the German DAX. On the 240-minute chart we got this smaller channel. DAX is now below it, but DAX is now going down with some mild bullish divergence, so we are going to see. But from Monday, this is going to be here the number one question: is it going to stay above the 300 level and push higher, or rolling over to the downside? And also we got on DAX several unfilled gaps. First one is on 12,271, and that one, because it's very close to the price, likely is going to be filled. So these are the channels from this chart. This is daily one, and this one from the lower time frames. And in case of rolling over, we could see this lower price. Note also that between these two tops we have a bearish divergence on DAX. So here On smaller time frames we get a bullish divergence here, but on larger time frames there is a bearish divergence between these two tops. And this bearish divergence is very easily visible on the daily chart between these two tops, as you can see here. So really a simple scenario now for DAX. It is going to be a matter of time when will DAX again will correlate with the S&P, but for now, for these several days, we have lost the correlation with it. And also note on Thursday, SAP has the earnings release, and that is the biggest DAX components. And we also had in this period numerous economic releases from Germany that wasn't so good, and one of the biggest components, chemical concern BASF, had the profit warning for the next period, and that also contributed to the DAX relative weakness to the S&P. And here is the list of all of the schedule for the second quarter of DAX components, and I will publish also this list on Twitter and maybe on my site also. And if you are interested in DAX trading, I'm inviting you to check my site. Here it is on the address StrayDog.com. I am running the daily dose of DAX service meant for DAX traders. It is the analytical service, and here on this homepage you can learn more about it and what I am offering. And here on this page, let's say examples, there are plenty of examples of my work. And that is it for this edition of StrayDog's weekly videos. I wish you a good weekend and good trading.